UFC Fight Night Fiziev versus Torres is taking place in Baku, Azerbaijan this Saturday on June 27, 2026. Today, I'll be giving you guys my full card predictions for this card. If you do just want to skip around and get the picks, the timestamps will be posted down below if you just want to skip around. But if you are going to be putting money, I advise you, if you do not want to lose money, please watch this video entirely. Don't be an idiot. Please don't be an idiot. If you've lost money before and you're like, ah, shit. Fuck, well, how did this happen? Buddy, it's because you didn't watch the Jip MMA's full video. Feel me? But yeah, let's get started with this. For the prelims, we have Tahir the Tank Abdullayev going against Jefferson, Torres, Nascimento. Now, Tahir Abdullayev is 21-3, decent record. It doesn't fucking matter. He's crushing on the regional scene. He recently beat a 3-1. Not even recently, 7 months. Oh, that's pretty recent. 7 months ago, he beat a 3-1. He beat a 7-9. He beat 2-0, and he beat a 14-7. He has no good wins. And anytime he goes against a decent fighter who shows him some adversity, he loses. This is a decent prospect, though. A 13-0 prospect right now. Pretty decent. But still, he went to a split decision with a 7-7. What the fuck? This is a fucking Bryce Mitchell Dagestani clone right here. He lost to a Bryce Mitchell Dagestani clone. Are we fucking serious? A split decision with a 7-7. And yeah, you can look at the 8-0. Buddy, he was losing the first round against Rakhman Hasanov, but this guy fucking death gas, and then he ended up getting knocked out by fucking Tahir Abdullayev. And then he lost to fucking Josh Togo. Like, bro, Tahir Abdullayev isn't good. He's not a good MMA practitioner. His main base is grappling. He wants to take you down and get ground and pound, maybe even submit you. He has some, I'm not going to say his striking is pretty bad. He can get pressured, and that's where he loses to Jefferson Nascimento. Jefferson Nascimento is a good pressuring striker with some really sneaky BJJ if you take him down. He has some sneaky BJJ. He will attack some submissions, and then he'll make that, which will help him get up or maybe even have some advantageous positions on the ground. People do want to look at his recent fight 3 weeks ago against Jan Morante, where you can really argue he was down in the scorecards, probably 2-1, maybe even 3-0, but he was able to find that finish against Jan Morante, who's never been finished in his entire pro MMA career. But yeah, you could make some arguments. Justin, he did have a cut above the eye where it was like they were maybe about to end the fight. So you can make an argument that Tahir Abdullayev can open that cut up again. Maybe make it bigger. Maybe get a doctor stoppage. Maybe Tahir Abdullayev, who is fighting at his natural weight class at welterweight, will have the advantage. And Jefferson Nascimento usually fights at 155. He's going up a weight class to fight at 170 to go against Tahir Abdullayev. You can make some arguments. Jefferson Nascimento probably is at a big disadvantage here. It's the home crowd for Tahir Abdullayev. He's fighting at his normal weight class. I mean, he has some decent advantages here. I just believe Jefferson Nascimento, who is a pressure stand-up boxer, kind of will be able to push back Tahir Abdullayev and can eat some shots. Never been knocked out, obviously, since he is undefeated. Never been knocked out, has a chin on him. Did get clipped in here against Jan Morante, but Jan Morante is like a fucking zombie who kept walking forward against Jefferson Nascimento and was eating some nasty shots. But I don't think Tahir Abdullayev is going to do that. I think he's going to let Jefferson Nascimento pressure him back. I think he's going to look for some takedowns. And even if he gets them, I think Jefferson Nascimento can just attack a submission. Maybe even get a sneaky submission here. But I do believe Tahir Abdullayev is outmatched here. After the fight with Gian Morante, I remember watching it. Nascimento, after defending his belt, I think once, was talking about how he wants to come to the UFC. He's ready anytime, 24/7. And here, he got his opportunity. I am praying he's not like a Jamie Siraj, where he's been talking and yapping about how he wants to join the fucking UFC and just ends up getting starched. I'm praying that's not going to happen. I don't think it is. He's a very durable fighter. He's undefeated. Fought way better competition. Way better competition. 9-1, 7-1, 8-0, 12-3. Did go to split decision with Italo Gomez. But Italo Gomez did have a DQ against Damian Pinas. Y'all got to fucking remember this. But I actually don't know how he went to split decision with Italo Gomez. I think he does struggle a little bit with size, people who are bigger than him. But I think he should be fine here, I can't lie. I don't think he'll really struggle here. I might actually have to rewatch this fight to see what went wrong. But other than that, I think he should actually beat Tahir Abdullayev pretty easily. I'm pretty sure he is the underdog somehow. Like, how the fuck is he the underdog? That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I don't think he'll finish Abdullayev. I don't think Abdullayev will finish him. I think this will go decision. And I'm taking Jefferson Nascimento by decision. All right, this next time we have Bekzat, the Turn Warrior the Turn Warrior Almakhan going against Gene Matsumoto. Now, I actually like Gene Matsumoto, and I watched this fight against Farid Basra, where okay, I might be a little biased here because I did have money on Basra, but I did think Basra won that fight. So maybe I'm a little biased, but I do believe Basra did win that fight in my personal opinion. That might be a little bit of recency bias. I don't even know how to fucking say it. Who even gives a shit? But going against Rob Font, I actually did believe he won that fight. You can argue where at the start where Rob Font did a nasty, tricky glove touch where he kind of not wobbled him, but he surprised where he got 10 shots off at the start, which kind of could have influenced the judges. Who knows? But I do believe he won the first and second round, where I do believe Rob Font in the third round was catching some wind and was able to kind of styling him a little bit. You could argue he actually lost against Miles Johns more than his loss against Farid and Rob Font. Miles Johns was able to get some takedowns and had some okay success on the feet. Now he's going against Bekzat Almakhan. Bekzat Almakhan has had a really, really tough go in the UFC. 1-2 right now, and his last two losses are against Umar Nurmagomedov and Alexander Topuria. And in the fight with both of them, he had some really decent moments, really good moments. He knocked down Umar Nurmagomedov in the first round and just couldn't find the finish. And then he just ended up getting grapple fucked 30-25, which is kind of bad. But then in his next fight, he went against Brad Katona, which I'm pretty sure Gene Matsumoto actually has gone against Brad Katona. Yeah, he actually he got a guillotine. Oh no, he went to decision. Who did he get a guillotine? It was Daniil. He went to decision with Brad Katona. And while we saw Bekzat Almakhan really just starch him in the first round pretty easily. And then against Alexander Topuria, he had some pretty good moments. I actually thought he won that first round against him. I don't know why people were saying 30-27. I thought he won that first round in the second, third round. Because of Alexander Topuria's pressure and his takedown threat, he was able to find success against Bekzat Almakhan. But Almakhan was still landing and even had a few moments at the end of the third round. In this fight with Gene Matsumoto, I can break this down pretty easily. If this does go to decision, this is how it's going to go. Gene Matsumoto is known to be a slow starter. You can watch all of his fights. He has lost the first round consistently in all of his fights. Against Miles John, lost the first round. Against Brad Katona, lost the first round. Against Daniil, lost the first round. Against Rob Font, all of these fights, he's lost the first round. He's a slow starter, and Bekzat Almakhan is a fast starter. He is most likely guaranteed to win the first round. Now, for me, it is the cardio and the pace that Gene Matsumoto will bring to this fight and how well the cardio of Bekzat Almakhan will be, in my opinion. Because in the second round, the thing with Gene Matsumoto, if this is a stand-up fight, which I do believe it will, Gene Matsumoto will have the more output on the feet. I do believe the more damaging shots will come from Bekzat Almakhan. He has real knockout power, and it's shown in all of his fights where he's not wobbled, but he's caught the attention of Alexander Topuria. He's knocked down Umar Nurmagomedov, and he got a knockout in the first round against Brad Katona, who's never been knocked out, ever. Think about that. Gene Matsumoto will have the more output. When he is throwing his output, he is very hittable on the feet. That's what I'm scared about going with Gene Matsumoto. If you are going with Gene Matsumoto, you are hoping that his chin will hold against Bekzat Almakhan. And I don't know if he could eat that many shots from Bekzat Almakhan. Because even with Alexander Topuria, who had a high guard, still felt the shots and impact from Bekzat Almakhan. And if you're doing what Gene Matsumoto does and just throws a lot of combinations without being very defensively sound, it is going to be a little scary. Bekzat Almakhan does also have some sneaky grappling which he can incorporate. He's not really there to hold you down or really do that, but he's really just trying to score points, kind of. Maybe he can hold Gene Matsumoto down, but Gene Matsumoto is a very active fighter. He doesn't like getting held down much, so I think he'll get up pretty easy against Bekzat Almakhan. But they will have an impact on the fight with the takedowns. They'll probably have a thing in there. And Gene Matsumoto also has some sneaky grappling. He was able to take Farid Basra down 5 times. He can probably do the same thing against Bekzat. Bekzat was only taken down twice against Alexander Topuria, and I think he has really good fight IQ and really good fundamentals of MMA and grappling and all that. So I think Gene Matsumoto will have a hard time trying to take down Bekzat Almakhan. But yeah, this is a really interesting fight. I don't really know who wins. I know Bekzat wins the first round, and I think with the output and maybe if Bekzat slows down, and I know Gene Matsumoto won't, I think he does win the third round. It really is who will steal the second round. And I think Bekzat probably sees the second round. I could really see this going to a split decision. I could very well see this going to split decision. I'm gonna go Almakhan by round 2 knockout. Just because I do believe Gene Matsumoto is a little defensively irresponsible on the feet, and Bekzat is a very fast striker that goes into the pocket and can really knock you out. So I'm gonna go Bekzat Almakhan. I think he wins this. Right now I am going 2 underdogs, and this will be a big trend in this card where I am picking a lot of underdogs. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Bekzat Almakhan. I'm gonna pick him by round 2 knockout. Alright, in this next fight we have Daniil Donchenko going against Theodor Simba Berggren. Now, after seeing Daniil Donchenko being a minus 475, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing tape study on this. Who gives a shit? I don't really feel like doing it. But then I remembered Andrey Lima lost to Kevin Borjas. Costanio Bolaños beat Mike Weisel Jr. And Topuria lost to Gaethje. Like, you're never, like, anybody can win in MMA. And I've finally realized that anybody can win in MMA. And in this matchup with Theodor Berggren, short notice, Daniil Donchenko was supposed to go against Andreas Gustafsson. Wasn't able to because Gustafsson had some heart problems. But going against Theodor Berggren, he really should chin him. I'm not going to lie. If you watch the fights for Theodor Berggren, he is a pressure striker with really good grappling, and he will take the back if you let him get it. But going against Daniil Donchenko, who's a fast striker and with some real knockout power, somehow went to decision with Alex Morono. I don't really know how that happened. I remember watching that fight and him dropping Alex Morono in the first round, but couldn't find the finish after that. But at least it showed that Daniil Donchenko can go a full 15 minutes in a cage. Theodor Berggren never been knocked out. So was Rodrigo Cezinando. Yeah, I don't know. I think Theodor Berggren is going to get chinned here. He really puts his chin really high up in the air. I think he's just asking for himself to get chinned by Daniil Donchenko. Berggren is very hittable. Has some okay striking, but I really do believe he is outclassed here. I think he could be a decent prospect, maybe. If he like fought better competition. He's 8-3. Didn't really have the best losses. He was beating one of his opponents. Who was he? I think he was beating. He almost knocked out Justin Burleson. But then he got arm triangle choked. But yeah, never been chinned. It's gonna be interesting how Daniil Donchenko is gonna approach this. I think he will just run forward and try to knock him out. But yeah, I think this is gonna be an easy win for Daniil. I think Daniil Donchenko wins this by knockout, but I don't really think he's that good. But yeah, I'm gonna go Daniil Donchenko, and I think he wins by knockout. Oof. Alright, for this next fight, we have Genghis Khan Ofli going against Javier Blair Reyes. Now, I fucking hate Javier Reyes. Like, I don't like Javier Reyes. For many fucking reasons. Number one, he's a piece of shit. Fuck him. Nah, but I actually don't like this guy. I don't know why. Something about him is just fucking slimy. Like, I don't know. Something about him. But yeah, going against Khan Ofli, we can honestly keep it simple like this. Khan Ofli, after watching a few of his fights, not this one, I watched this one with Ricardo Ramos, but in each of his fights, he has a very lingering thing that shows blah, 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 blah. He's chinny. Khan Ofli is chinny. He got chinned. He was getting chinned by Yiza. He was getting chinned by even Muhammad Naimov. He had some moments where he like wobbled him, and Mario Santos knocked him out. Khan Ofli is chinny. He is chinny. And you have to remember that when he's going against Javier Reyes, he's going to have a 7-inch reach advantage over him. Now, we got to remember, Javier Reyes, if you guys remember, on the Contender Series against Justice Torres was able to put pressure and has the same amount of reach and height as Khan Ofli was able to take him down. He wasn't able to hold him, but he was able to take him down. And this is like the only, in my opinion, the only path to victory where Khan Ofli can win. I do believe Khan Ofli needs to pressure Javier Reyes. I think he needs to try to get this. I think he needs to try to get this fight to the ground, and I think he needs to try to maybe even finish Javier Reyes. Because if he doesn't, Javier Reyes is always live for a knockout. He has some really, really heavy hands. Recently knocked out the 40-year-old Douglas Silva de Andrade after getting rocked in the early rounds. Was able to recover and then knocked out Douglas de Andrade, who is a very hard person to knock out. Only been knocked out one other time in his career, so pretty impressive. And he did obviously knock out Torres, who's never been knocked out. After watching rewatching Javier Reyes' fights, he has some really heavy hands, and it really, like, you can really hear it whenever he hits anybody. Like, it has, like, an impacting sound, like, puss, puss, puss. No, but no, Javier Reyes, I'm just going to keep it simple here. Khan Ofli's shinny. Javier Reyes isn't. He has the reach advantage. He's very sloppy in his approaches, though, which can maybe give Kaan Ofli a chance. But Kaan Ofli, I did watch this fight. He does look defensively sound, but you're not really defensively sound if you're getting rocked in each one of your fights. Give me Javier Reyes to just chin Kaan Ofli. It's really just that simple to me. Yeah, chins make fights. Remember that shit. Oh, fuck me. All right, Nursulton Black Ruziboev going against Andrey Pulyaev. Now, I'm actually going to take an underdog here. I think Andrey Pulyaev is going to beat Nursulton Ruziboev. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Andrey Pulyaev is 1-2 in the promotion, but let's look at his losses. He lost to Christian Leroy Duncan, where he did admit he was a little gun-shy and nervous in his fight with Christian Leroy Duncan, where he wasn't able to actually like use his full potential. Had an okay showing against him. Didn't get knocked out by Christian Leroy Duncan, who has some heavy hands. And the same goes for Bekzat, who was not able to knock out Andrey Pulyaev. He did put Andrey Pulyaev on his ass many fucking times. He dropped him many, many times. But Andrey Pulyaev, who was able to throw some nasty body kicks, even incorporate some head kicks, and what's called have some good counter-striking against Bekzat. Had some pretty decent moments in that fight. Had really good cardio, dealt well with the power and the reach of Bekzat, who has an 81-inch reach. Was doing pretty well in that fight and had some really good moments. And I was very, very impressed in that fight. I remember being more disappointed by Bekzat because he was a minus 1,000. But then rewatching that, I think Andrey Pulyaev just had a really good game plan and just wasn't afraid of the power of, what's his name? Of the power of Bekzat. Now he's going against Nursulton Ruziboev, who is, I don't know, fucking 5-1 in the promotion. Did get a win over Bruno Ferreira where he was able to knock him out. Now we gotta ask ourselves, is that a good knockout or is Bruno Ferreira just fucking chinny? Yeah, I don't need to know. Then he was able to knock out Cedric Dumas. He's also chinny. Eric McConaughey is a little more impressive, but he is, in my opinion, a little chinny. And he was not able to knock out Dustin Stolfus, who has actually a pretty okay chin. So Nursulton Ruziboev has some decent power on the feet and has a really nice flashy spinning heel kick or hook kick that he was throwing against Dustin Stolfus, and it was landing a lot. It was actually very, very impressive. Went down to 170 somehow at 6'5", and went against Joaquin Buckley. And Joaquin Buckley, who was a striker, was getting takedowns on this fucker, which kind of gives you like an implication of what this guy is. But in my opinion, Nursulton Ruziboev's gas tank is a little. It's a little suspect. It's a little suspect, and it shows in some of his fights because anytime he goes to decision, he is losing most of the time, and we can interpret this with the fact that his gas tank, his cardio is a little suspect. Going against Andrey Pulyaev, who has a really good gas tank and a really good chin, I think he could take Nursulton Ruziboev to deep waters. I think if Ruziboev does pressure Andrey Pulyaev, I think he has some really nice counter striking. We haven't really seen Nursulton Ruziboev go against someone as big or as lanky as Andrey Pulyaev, and I think he will struggle with the size of Andrey Pulyaev. Not like he struggled with Joaquin Buckley, who's 5'10". I think he will struggle with the size with Andrey Pulyaev. Didn't really struggle with a 6'2" Cedric Dumas. I will give it to him, but Cedric Dumas is dog shit. I think Nursulton Ruziboev will try to push the pace here. But I think Andrey Pulyaev will have some nice counter-striking. Maybe even rocks Ruziboev in the later rounds. But that's why I am picking him by like round 3 knockout. Because I do believe Andrey Pulyaev will push the pace on Nursulton Ruziboev. And I think Ruziboev will death gas. And I think Andrey Pulyaev will get the round 3 KO. I just think if he doesn't get the early knockout submission over Andrey Pulyaev, I think this will go to deep waters. And you can bring up the fight with Nick Klein, where Nick Klein was able to take down Andrey Pulyaev and control him. But Pulyaev isn't a guy who really just like lets you control him for a long period of time. He will get back up and he will fight you. That's the type of fighter he is. So I think Andrey Pulyaev is very, very alive to win this, and I think he's actually a pretty good underdog to hit. I actually might make it my. I'm gonna make Andrey Pulyaev my play of the night. I'm making Andrey Pulyaev a plus 200 underdog play of the night. Play him. He's a very good underdog. He has a very good chance of winning this. I think he should probably be like a minus 180. That's how good I think he is. He's improving drastically each fight. I think he's a very good underdog, and I think he wins this. I think he probably chins Ruziboev in the later rounds. Alright, in this next fight we have Abdul the Hunter Yakhyaev going against Julius Juice Box Walker. Now, I actually rewatched the fight with Dustin Jacoby. He actually looked pretty good against Dustin Jacoby. He was getting some pretty nasty takedowns against Dustin Jacoby. Looked okay on the feet. But we already know who he is. He's chinny. He did end up getting chinned in the second round against Dustin Jacoby, who does have a lot of power. I will give it to him. Dustin Jacoby is one of the harder hitters at 205. Going against Abdulrahman Yakhyaev, who had I'm not saying a bad showing against Benson Ribeiro, because he did finish him in the first round pretty easily. He just looked so bad on the feet for like the first like 30 seconds. Like, I know that sounds so dumb to say. He just looked so bad for some reason. It was just like, it was kind of like weird to see him look so like tentative against Benson Ribeiro. And I think that does come from him struggling with bigger fighters at 205, and that could play a factor against Julius Walker, who is 6'4". But Abdulrahman Yakhyaev does have knockout power, and that's shown that shows in his debut against Rafael Cerqueira, where he dropped him with a spinning heel kick or spinning or just a head kick. Then he knocked him down and even knocked this guy out. I think it's really just simple as this. I think Abdulrahman Yakhyaev is going to push the pace against Julius Walker. I think he's going to push him against the cage. I think he can get takedowns, and I think he submit him. I think he even knock him out. I'm going to take Abdulrahman Yakhyaev by knockout. No, submission maybe, because I think you'll maybe drop him, or you just take him down. But I think either way, I think you'll take him down. I think you'll submit him. I will say this. Julius Walker is actually not that bad. I'm going to be real. He's actually not that bad. And I think they could do something where Abdulrahman Yakhyaev wins this and he ends up becoming like a top 5 fighter, and then Julius Walker comes back for his revenge, and then they have like Abdulrahman Yakhyaev versus Julius Walker 2. I can see that happening. Who knows? I think Yakhyaev should win this. He is I think he's one of the better prospects at 205, and I think he should win this pretty soundly. Alright, for the next fight we have Farman the Lion Hasanov going against Eric Nighttime Nolan. Now, in this fight, I'm going to give you guys warnings. I am taking some assumptions. And usually when I take assumptions, the fighter I pick loses. Now, Farman, the Lion Hasanov, is a pretty good grappler with some okay striking. He really just mostly throws looping hoops and really just tries to get to your hips and take you down. Had some pretty good showings in the LFA where he was able to get 2 finishes. And he was knocked out in his amateur career, which you got to remember. Going against Eric Nolan, who has some real knockout power. Really, really good knockout power. But I'm really gonna focus on this fight against Mark R.B. Lewis, where Hasanov was struggling a little bit with Mark R.B. Lewis, and that does come from the fact that Mark R.B. Lewis was a bigger fighter, 6'2", I think 6'2" or 6'3", maybe even 6'1". Yeah, 6'1" fighter. He was struggling with the size of Mark R.B. Lewis, and he was struggling to take him down. And when we saw that happening, we saw Mark R.B. Lewis was able to get a little bit of success on Hasanov. Now he's going against Eric Nolan, who is a power puncher and came on short notice against Bison Sukayev. And he has some pretty good moments in that fight. Almost knocked out Bison Sukayev near the end of that round. Going up a weight class on short notice. Remember this, he's going up a weight class, not at his natural weight class, at 185 on short notice against a undefeated prospect. In the second round, I think something happened to his knee. Apparently, like, some nerves in his knee just went out, and he just, like, he couldn't, like, and then he, like, walked it off, and he was able to, like, go back to normal. I think that was very unfortunate. I think he had some moments against Bison Sukayev, and I think he's actually pretty good, and I think he actually does beat Farman Hasanov. I'm not really very impressed by Farman Hasanov, and the fact that he actually does struggle with bigger fighters, and he might be a little chinny, is very scary going against Eric Nolan, who I do believe was at some big disadvantages in his fight. Had an injury mid-fight, was going up a weight class at 3 days' notice against an undefeated fighter. And I'm saying undefeated because Bison Sukayev is a good fighter. People want to hate on him just because he makes some of his fights close on purpose. I do believe he does it on purpose, just to be a showman. He's good. He's really, really good. He's finishing all of his opponents, and he's only gone to decision once against Shane Sobnanowski. This kid. The fucking... Why does he actually look like Dustin Poirier? Won the decision with... Oh my god, he got a 1W. Went against Jake Woodley, and Woodley fried the shit out of fucking David Wright. Oh my god. 4 seconds is... That's outrageous. I fucking picked him. Thank god I didn't pick him here, so it doesn't show my record, but holy shit. That is disgusting. But yeah, going against Farman Hasanov, I think Hasanov... Especially when he gets, like, when people strike at him, he really just puts that high guard up and he just takes the beating. I think if he does that against Eric Nolan, I think he could survive. And I think he does do that because I think he does believe he is chinny. Like, even if he doesn't believe in himself, I think his body knows that he can't take that many shots. Alright, I might be, like, lying about that shit, but I think Eric Nolan is better on the feet. I think if this is on the feet, I think he easily wins. I know Farman Hasanov is a very dangerous grappler, and if he gets on the ground, Eric Nolan is getting finished. I just don't think he can take him down and hold him down there. I just don't know. I think he was struggling against Mark Lewis in the first round, and I think he's going to struggle against Eric Nolan, who can probably find that finishing shot. He has some good counter-striking and good distance management, and he has some pretty good fight IQ. I think he has some big disadvantages going to his fight with Bison Sukayev, and I think he will show here against Farman Hasanov. And I'm picking Eric Nolan by knockout. Alright. Start off the main card, we have Abus Magomedov going against Michał Oleksiejczuk. Now, I'm going to be real. I was disappointed by Michał Oleksiejczuk in his last fight against Marc-Andre Barriault. Because how the fuck are you on minus 600 and you're going even with a fucking... No. By a fucking... No offense to Marc-Andre Barriault, but a 17-11 fighter? Are we serious? Are we fucking serious? He's been knocked out. I know he rocked him and almost knocked him out, but you couldn't knock him out? Are you fucking serious? Bye. I was very fucking disappointed by that performance. But it's whatever. Before that, he was getting some decent knockouts over two chinny people, but you could say his power is a little questionable, but I think he does have some power, and he's a very accurate striker. Good boxing, and in his last fight, he showed that he can incorporate some grappling, kind of, where he like took down Marc-Andre Barrero at the start, and he can incorporate some calf kicks and some body kicks, which are going to be important against Abus Magomedov. No, Abus Magomedov, a very good grappler. Very good grappler, mid striking. And I really do need to talk about some of his fights. Was losing against Bruno Ferreira until he was able to get that arm triangle choke where Bruno Ferreira did death gas. Against Michał Pereira, he went to life and death with Michał Pereira. A washed Michał Pereira. I'm going to say this one more time. A washed Michał Pereira. Michał Pereira isn't good. He was going to a war with him, and he was very, very gassed in that fight. And then in Joe Pyfer, he was able to get a reversal takedown, was just like threatening a scissor, armbar, fucking Kimura at the same time. I don't even know what he fucking was doing. But death gassed in one round. And then Joe Pyfer was able to connect on the chin, dropped him, and then got the rear naked choke. I think the same thing will happen here. I do believe Abus Magomedov does slow down later on fights. I think Michał Oleksiejczuk showed that he can at least go a pretty good 15 minutes and put up a good pace. I don't think Abus Magomedov is gonna run at him like a zombie, like Marc-Andre Barrero did. What? Damn it! I gotta speak lighter now. Oh shit. But yeah, I think Michał Oleksiejczuk will win this. I think he will find the chin of Abus Magomedov. Mainly because he is very hittable, and he was getting hit by fighters like Michał Pereira and Joe Pyfer, who have like a similar or less reach to Michał Oleksiejczuk. He's a pretty good striker, and he can incorporate calf kicks and body kicks. He's improving at a pretty fast, rapid rate, and I think he should be able to knock out Abus Magomedov. And I'm gonna take Michał Oleksiejczuk by knockout. I have to talk a little lower because there's people in the family, blah blah blah, all that shit. Fucking twats, bro. Alright, for the next one, we have Bruno the Hulk Ferreira going against Ikram Aliskerov. Now, Bruno Ferreira is a good stand-up striker, and in his last fight, we saw him get starched. It was just kind of crazy because I actually did think Bruno Ferreira was going to be Gregory Rodriguez because he was coming at the best physique we've ever seen him. He was at the best peak of his prime. He looked like he's never been better before. What? Alright, I'm gonna have to rush this shit. Bruno Ferreira going against Ikram Aliskerov. I'm gonna keep this short. If Ikram Aliskerov keeps us on the feet, I think he will get knocked out by Bruno Ferreira. I think they're both chinny. I think Aliskerov could knock out Ferreira, but I do believe he did say in an interview that he does want to take this to the ground. Anything he has to probably submit. He probably has to submit or take the power away from Ikram from Bruno Ferreira's hands. Fuck, bro, I don't feel like re-recording this, bro. Oh my god. But yeah, if this is on the feet, Bruno Ferreira wins. Yeah. Like, holy shit, bro. Mamma mia, I don't want to re-record this. Do I have to re-record this? Bro. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm going to take Ikram Aliskerov by decision. I think he will take down Bruno Ferreira. Actually, I'm going to take him by submission. I think he can actually... No. Chill. He actually has some pretty decent submissions. Yeah, I think I'm going to take Ikram Aliskerov by submission. I think he could take down Bruno Ferreira and possibly submit him. I think Bruno Ferreira does have the power on the feet to knock out Ikram Aliskerov. After seeing Ikram Aliskerov say in an interview that he wants to take him down, And plus, he is training with Khabib now. I don't think he's gonna entertain the striking on the feet. I think he does see and can take account for the power on the feet that Bruno Ferreira has, and he's just gonna have some boring Dagestani wrestling piece of shit stuff. And I think he will get a later submission where Bruno Ferreira will just end up death gassing. So give me Ikram Askarov by submission. All right, in this next fight we have Asu Amabayev going against Charles Johnson. My bad. Let me redo that. We have Asu Zulfikar Amabayev going against Charles Energy Johnson. Now, I'm going to be real. I didn't do tape study for this. I've actually, like, kind of done tape study for them when I watched their old fights. With, like, the Alex Perez, kind of Lauren Kavanaugh, and Bruno Silva. Charles Johnson's a fighter that will let you pressure and put him on the back foot, but he is looking for those counter strikes on the feet. He's going against Asu Amabayev, who has some pretty decent striking. Did get knocked out by Michał, but you could argue it was like eye poking, and he was just like, he didn't really get knocked out in my opinion. He actually has a pretty good chin. I don't think he got knocked out there. But going against Charles Johnson, I think he could get the takedowns if he wants to. But I think if this does stay on the feet, I think Asu Amabayev can win however he wants. I think he can go on the feet, or he can win with the grappling. I don't really think Charles Johnson is that good. Even his win over Bruno Silva that he arguably lost is aging very poorly. He does have power on the feet, but he has power on the feet, but it's like, I don't know. It's very questionable if he's going against someone as defensively sound as Asu Amabayev. He's not going to be as fast as Asu Amabayev. I think Asu Amabayev has some good body kicks, calf kicks, and has a pretty good jab. And I think he probably gets to the hips and maybe even submit Charles Johnson. I think this does go to decision. I think Asu Amabayev will win this by decision. I'm gonna keep it simple because I gotta rush this shit. Hold up. All right. In this next fight, we have Nazim. All right. In this next fight, we have Nazim Black Wolf Sadikov going against Mateus the Jaguar Camilo. Now, after doing research on Nazim Sadikov, I actually do believe he is a little bit overrated. And hear me out. In most of his wins, he was losing. In the fight with Evan Elder, he was losing 2 rounds and needed to finish in the 3rd round, and he was able to get it. And I rate the win over Evan Elder. I think he's actually pretty good. In the fight with Ismail Bonfim, he was getting styled on, and then he ended up getting a very good question kick on the side of the head of Ismail Bonfim, and got a cut above his eye and had to stop the fight because of doctor stoppage. And against Nicholas Mota, he was getting pieced up in that 1st round. Nicholas Mota, just like with his low fight IQ, just ended up death gassing and wasn't able to find the finish against Nazim Sadikov. I do believe Nazim Sadikov is a little chinny in his. I think he is actually chinny. I do believe that Mateus Camilo could knock him out. I'm just gonna have to pick Nazim Sadikov because he is fighting at home at Azerbaijan. In his last fight against Nicholas Mota, not his last fight, but the fight with Nicholas Mota, he was getting pieced up, but he remembered he was in Azerbaijan. And you actually really, if he's fighting in Azerbaijan, I do believe with Nazim Sadikov, you really do have to kill him if you want to get him out there. I do believe he is heavily overrated, but a 25-year-old Mateus Camilo, I don't think he can beat Nazim Sadikov in his home turf in Azerbaijan. That's why I'm taking Nazim Sadikov by decision. He is a very good defensively sound and good technical striker. I just do believe he's a little too technical and doesn't really let go of his hands as much. All right, in this next fight, we have Michał Demolitor Pereira going against Sharab the Bullet Magomedov. I think Sharab Magomedov is going to style on Michał Pereira. Michał Pereira is arguably on a 4-fight losing streak. His last one is against, I'm not even counting this one. His last one is against Ihor Potieria, who's dog shit, doesn't really have any good wins. Once a war with Abus Magomedov, who's pretty mid in my opinion, and got starched by Kyle Dawkins. And I'm going to say this, he is pretty chinny. I don't think Kyle Dawkins has that much power. I think he has power, but I don't think he has that much power. And I do believe Michał Pereira is chinny. Almost got knocked out by Abus Magomedov, and he got finished by Anthony Hernandez. And almost got knocked out by Zach Reese. I can't lie. Had a back and forth thing. Made some fake accusations of getting hit in the cup, and then ended up walking out with the Israel flag. Yeah, I don't know. I think Sharab Magomedov is going to style on him, and I think he actually is going to finish Michał Pereira. I think he's going to do it pretty easy. And I think Sharab Magomedov, whatever money it is for him by knockout, I think I should hit that very hard. I think Magomedov wins this pretty easily. All right, now for the main event, we have Rafael the Ottoman Fiziev going against Manuel El Loco Torres. I'm going to review how many underdogs I picked, but in this fight, I am going to be picking Manuel Torres. I do believe he is the better fighter here. Rafael Fiziev, I'm not going to lie. If we're talking about technicality-wise, I think Fiziev is the better technical fighter. Very, very quick with his body kicks and his knees in the clinch. Has some really good Muay Thai base, but the problem is he is very hittable on the feet, especially to straight shots like the shots from Manuel Torres, and he is chinny. In the fight with Justin Gaethje, he got chinned. He got dropped really bad and almost got finished. Gamrot leg injury, that's excusable, and he got chinned against Mauricio Rufy. I do believe Manuel Torres does have the same amount of power, or if not even more than these fighters. You can argue that his fights have been a little layup-y. Grant Dawson, chinny fighter. Drew Dober isn't very chinny, actually. That was a very impressive one. He was very quick and had impeccable timing, was able to knock him out. Yeah, I think he's actually going to start Rafael Fiziev. I think Fiziev is hittable on the feet, and he is coming off of a knockout loss. I think he is going to be a little weary of the power from Manuel Torres. I think he's going to allow Manuel Torres to push the pace. If he does what he did against Mauricio Rufy and pushes the pace against him, I think he could find some success. But in a 5-round fight, his gas tank is a little suspect, and you can't say the same thing about Manuel Torres, who's only going to one decision. Yep, this is an interesting fight. I do believe Manuel Torres wins this because his knockout power is good enough to beat Rafael Fiziev, and I do believe he only has to connect a few times to knock him out. So give me Manuel Torres and give me him by round 2 vicious knockout. Alright, that does it for my picks for UFC Baku. For my play of the night, I will be doing an underdog pick of Andrey Pulyaev. I think he wins this, and I think he wins this by knockout late or decision. But yeah, I think Andrey Pulyaev is very live here for a win. So that'll do it for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Do all that good shit. It really keeps you motivated to push out more content. And yeah, it just means a lot. I'll see you guys in the next video. Blah, blah, blah. Have a good day. God bless.